Welcome to Faithfully Healed, a sacred, trauma-informed space for those seeking peace, healing, and a deeper connection through a Christian lens. I'm Latisha Sternod, a trauma licensed therapist, a clinical supervisor, and faith-informed wellness coach. Each week we explore emotional healing, spiritual growth, quiet strength that really anchors and grounds us when we live a life rooted in truth and grace. Whether you're carrying anxiety, working through trauma, or longing for a deeper connection spiritually, you're safe here. Let's walk this path together. Welcome to the Faithfully Healed podcast. I'm Latisha Sternod, your host.
And I'm Jen Clark, co-host.
We're here to talk about our new year, new start, and this is our third part of our three-part series. We're going to be talking more about the intellectual side of our growth. We're going to be touching on our emotional and social as well.
Yes.
So Jen, give us a little heads up of what this episode is going to be covering, because it's rooted in what you and your husband have been refining over many, many years together.
Amen. So, so the intellectual piece and the emotional and social piece is just kind of making sure that we continue to be lifelong learners and that we find strategies to cope with life when we get into those anxious and fearful moments and seasons of life, and how we're going to strategically navigate that. And then how important our social connections are our whole life, but especially as we get older, and how significant that is, especially if you're familiar with what blue zones are. The social piece is like, it helps you live a long, long life, happy life.
Yes.
So,
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, let's start into intellectual, because sometimes you think of that as just being in grade school. And
right.
like, these are my grades I'm getting, or I'm in college, or I'm in a trade and I'm getting my trade training for my craft. What does it look like just for everyday people throughout our adult life?
For outside of that, I think that it's really fun to think of ways that we can challenge ourselves to a point where we have to actually literally memorize material and be able to pass a test or actually do it in real life. For example, like learn a new language so that and then go to like learn Spanish and then go to Mexico. How cool would that be? And then you actually get to use it. Or learning, for me, how to be a personal trainer, get a certification where you have to take a test, and it's a 2-hour test, and I had to memorize everything. And it was like, ooh, okay, that was, and then I had to implement it into teaching people how to do things to be healthy and fit. So there is something that is very spectacular about learning something and then actually physically implementing that into your life. It triggers all kinds of neurons, growth, things that help your brain so that so that we don't fear too much more about like Alzheimer's, or what is it called when you just forget like your children's names? Dementia, things like that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at this new year, a lot of people have already bailed on their New Year's resolutions.
Right.
So we're offering an alternative direction and a pathway to really have growth in this dimension of your life. What kinds of things can people be thinking about? How would you start enhancing your intellectual growth? Just an adult, just living their life. Like, what would that look like?
So my encouragement would be to maybe just pick 3 things. Like, I'm going to read 5 books this year. Or pick a number. Doesn't matter. So read a book, learn a skill. So I'm going to learn how to play an instrument this year. So now you're going to have to learn how to read music and play an instrument.
Yeah.
Right. And then finally, you can do something that is adventurous. If you're adventurous and you want to, my son one year was, I'm going to skydive.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Yeah. Let's do that.
So learn how to skydive. Very adventurous.
Yes.
Not
very
for
adventurous.
everybody.
Not for everybody. He's over 1,200 jumps at this point. And
wow.
And he started in 2022. So
yeah. That's incredible.
He got hooked.
He did.
So anyway, so that's an example of how to do it. Make it fun.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good.
Super easy.
Any things that you recommend people to avoid, or any pitfalls that can happen with this area of growth? Because this might be something new for people to think about. Intentionally growing.
I think that sometimes what we have to remember, and I have to remember myself, is to have a growth mindset, to have I haven't learned it yet, to give yourself grace that if you're going to do something challenging like learning a new language, give yourself some grace. It may take you a little bit longer, but don't give up. And it's okay. It's okay if it takes you the whole year to learn, something that you might think is menial, but it's important. So it matters. So just make sure, I know that I haven't mastered excellence yet, but I am going to. It's yet.
Yeah.
Put the yet on the end.
And building on that, we know in the field of psychology, both being counselors,
Yes.
that you don't reach mastery you don't reach expertise level until 10 years or 10,000 working hours at something new.
Yes.
And so that's 10 years of 10,000 working hours of something new, challenging, and different in that domain.
Yes.
And they did a lot of research, even just initially with people learning how to play chess.
Oh, yeah.
So that should help people kind of give themselves grace, because if we're talking about challenging ourselves in some way within a year's time, that's a fraction of that expertise level of 10 years. So tons of opportunity to learn and grow.
Yes.
And not have to be an expert or perfect or proficient even in 12 months.
Even in 12 months. Yes. I think that's brilliant. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Give yourself grace. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So the emotional aspect, what does that look like?
So when we talk about emotional health, what we're talking about is when we are in a time of anxiety or stress or your fear, and you know that something is either coming up and you're not sure how you're supposed to prepare for that, how do you navigate that in a way that does not negatively impact other people around you? So do you have a healthy way of emoting, if you will, so that it serves you to grow and be prepared for when that next event happens, when that event,
Makes sense.
Yeah. So when I'm thinking of what are going to be my strategies this year, when I come across something that really makes me anxious, I know that this is coming up this year. How am I going to navigate that? So what my encouragement to you is think through what are some strategies you can use to calm your heart, to calm your mind. And I think of things like listening to music. For some people, listening to music, going into a room and just turning out the lights and listening to a certain genre of music calms them down. Some people like to journal. So I'm going to go into my room, private, and I'm just going to start writing my thoughts and thinking about how I'm going to navigate this next thing. Some people like to, okay, you know what? I'm really anxious about this. It's happening tomorrow. I'm going to go on a run and I'm going to just think through some things. I'm going to go shoot some hoops. Something that is just getting you out of the headspace of that loophole that you can get yourself in sometimes when you're really anxious that just makes your heart rate go faster and faster and faster. Let's get out of that loophole. What am I going to do that? And just come up with some strategies that don't impact other people. So, you don't want to go smack.
Yeah. Right.
And you don't want to verbally get somebody in a bad space.
Yeah. I think it's that growing in self-knowledge.
Yes.
We talk about as faithful people and, people who are exploring different faith traditions, but it's a really common phrase we talk about as knowing thyself. That self-knowledge is so important. And that aspect is the emotional realm. So what I like what you're saying is that what are the strategies, things I can put in place that work for me? Because it's different for each person.
It is.
And it's absolutely scriptural. It's absolutely the example that Christ gave us as a wonderful counselor to emote, to express his feelings, that he was tender and compassionate to others' feelings. He was very kind and considerate and really walked alongside people and their feelings. There's so many examples in scripture, and that we talk about in the wonderful counselor of looking at that emotional piece is really important. When you don't want to bypass it.
You don't want to bypass it. And to piggyback on that, and Jesus was very clear on this, and Proverbs too, is our words are powerful. So really hold your words back until you know exactly what words you want to use in a situation. It's better to be silent and think about it and then come back prepared than it is to spew out words that just can have some sharp edges sometimes. So our words are important. Our words matter. Our words bring life. Our words bring death. We get to choose. So try to focus on the fact that you want your words and your life to bring life to the situation.
Yeah. And then not only is it going those actions potentially impact or hurt other people, but it may actually in turn hurt us.
Absolutely.
It might feel cathartic at the time,
Right.
but ultimately it's actually even hurting our own self.
It is.
Yeah.
Words can be a blessing or a curse, and it comes right back at you.
Yeah.
So
Right.
be a blessing.
Yeah, and that emotional piece of how we even have the inner dialogue, how are we talking to ourselves?
Yeah.
Have you had anyone work on that for the year?
Yes.
Okay.
That's huge. And and I encourage people as a personal trainer to use positive words and internal dialogue when you're working out, because women are very critical. Men are critical too.
Yeah.
I have 2 boys who are very critical.
For sure.
And goal achieving. But even when you are working out, going on a run, what is your internal dialogue about your body? Are you saying positive things like, I am lean, I am strong, I'm a warrior for God, I'm going to do this, and just be really, really positive about your body, because body image is huge. And making sure that you, how can I put it, in times of conversation, you want to make sure that you are using only words that bring life to both the person in front of you and to yourself. Giving yourself grace. Being honest with yourself. Who am I in Christ, and what does God say about this?
Yeah. And that's being honest with, maybe we've made a mistake, or maybe we did say something that was hurtful. Like, okay, cool. This is a new moment.
A new
maybe it's not a new day or new year. Maybe this is a new moment.
I love that.
And we have a new moment opportunity.
Yes, we do.
To course correct, and we can bring that loving light back, and then we're right back where we need to be.
Because owning our words, owning our mistakes is huge, because that brings us to a place where you can have, what's the word, forgiveness and mercy with people.
And when you apologize and own it, and then don't do the but, or it's because, and you don't, if you just
don't
own
justify
it,
Yep.
the other person, they always melt.
They do. I have to say, I've never had them not melt.
Yeah.
I've never had someone say, like, oh yeah.
Right. Because they know it's genuine.
Of course you're awful.
Yeah,
exactly.
They know it's genuine.
They do. It's
like,
from the heart.
Because everyone wants that love in there.
Everybody does.
Everyone wants
and they want that connection. They want friendship.
For sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the other aspect is a social. That actually kind of ties into social, as we're starting to talk about the impacts of emotion. So what has that looked like in the New Year's with your husband, and how do we make goals around social?
Right. Yeah. So there's several different areas I think that we need to pay attention to in our life during different stages of our life. So there was a stage in my life when I was just a mom and raising kids. And my social connection was just like on the sidelines of the soccer field, or the wrestling match, right? It's just the people that are around you.
Lots of bonding and wrestling
lots
matches.
Of bonding, and so you're that is your social, and so you really don't have to work at it, because it's happening every week. As we get older and our kids grow older and they move out, now all of a sudden for us, we're in a different stage. And so it's like, how am I going to put myself into the ring? How am I going to get myself into the community? So it's everything from getting yourself into the community, getting yourself connecting with your family, getting yourself connecting with girlfriends for us, guy friends for guys, but your same-sex friends outside of the work environment. So making sure you're going and, getting together for lunches, or getting together for coffee, or getting together for a walk.
Golf, or a hobby,
or hobbies.
Or a sports event, or whatever.
And in community service, do get involved in something that you believe in, that you love. Is it like serving others through fish? Or is it serving others through your church? Or is it serving others through, by the way, FISH is an organization here in Washington State. That gives food and stuff for others. So, but what is something that you believe in? And what's even more fun on top of that, like for me and health and wellness, I love going to conferences on health and wellness. I love going to learning from experts and making it fun. Travel to Florida, go do something really cool and learn something, and get involved and meet other people that you'll have relationship with, maybe for that moment, but maybe for life. You never know.
So it's really about intentionally putting yourself out there and knowing what stage you're in. Like, are you, looking at beyond in the adult years? Because usually with younger than 20s, we're in school and have lots of opportunities because it's how society is structured.
That's right.
But 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, just where are you at in that adult trajectory of continued growth?
Yes.
And then see where those natural points are. And then if you're aging through a phase where there's not as many natural points, there might be more initiation needed.
Yes.
Versus other phases of adulthood where maybe the initiation isn't as needed because you're literally sitting next to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, already. Okay.
And I think that's the hardest part as we're getting older and retiring. So my husband and I are in that piece. And it's like, you really have to make sure you make an effort to get yourself out there and put yourself in the arena. Because if you stay home and you don't, you won't.
Right.
And we need people. We were born to be social creatures. God made us to be in communion with each other, to be a church, to be to lean on one another. And when you isolate yourself, that there's just so many things that go down from there. So you want to make sure you keep your friendships, you keep your connections to your family, your friends, and your community.
And that we've seen that across cultures and time, archaeologists,
Oh my gosh, yes.
people studying human cultures, that we're very communal mammals.
We're very communal.
Very communal. And the blue zones you're talking about, that was a big predictor of longevity, is like that social connection.
Yeah, the centurions, so those who live over 100 years, it's not that their health comes, like 80% of it is through their social connection, which means that you put together both your physical health and wellness along with your social health and wellness. And what they found was, as long as you had strong thighs, sounds really funny, but so the three biggest indicators of longevity is your heart, your lungs, and the size of your thighs, the muscle mass in your thighs. The more the better. Because why is that? Because that's how you get around. You walk to your neighbor's house so that you can have coffee.
Yeah.
You walk, in those blue zones. I mean, these women are just incredible.
Yeah.
And they're just...
and the men too.
And the men
are just thriving.
They're thriving. Men and
Late
women
in
are
life.
thriving. Yes.
Living vibrantly.
And not having any dementia, not having Alzheimer's. They're very connected.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So as we think about the intellectual, emotional, and social, are there other things people need to be looking out for? Any things to be anticipating as they go into this year, being intentional?
I just want to say that I know for me and my husband, it was like getting together, finding couples that we want to do things with as a couple. I think that to us was something that added to that whole piece of it.
Yeah.
So finding friends that are couples that we can go and do things with as couples.
Great.
Yeah.
So those that are married or in, part of those partnerships, making that as an option. If you're single, I would say being really intentional of finding someone to go to events to where you have a shared passion. And if you're like some of the most introverted folks and you're like Jen and Latisha, clearly you're extroverted. You're too excited about this topic.
Yeah, that's true.
What about me?
What about me?
I would also say start small, and then what are those areas that you can open up to? And it doesn't need to be a deep relationship. It doesn't need to be every part of your life. But even the most introverted of folks really need someone. I've seen it as a therapist during times where we had the world shut down, as you guys recall back in 2020. Even the most introverted of folks were really struggling when we didn't have much connection. So what we want to do is, even for our most introverted friends, those small little ways, like is it going to an animal shelter and just being around some people in that way, right? And spending time with animals and being around some other people who have that same passion. And that could be just like once a week or maybe once a month. So even if for the most introverted of folks, those small little touch points would be a good thing to find for yourself as well, even though there might be some more extroverted folks, which I will not confirm or deny that Jen are, might be a little bit different.
It might be.
Might be.
Yeah, it might be. And I know I have some very close friends who are the introvert type, and they're single, and they're my age, and they have their animals. But you know what they do is they get together and say, hey, you know what? Some rock band is in town. Let's go to the movies. Or there's a play going on in, Tacoma. Let's go see a play together. Yeah. Or something like that. So it doesn't have to be something where you're out there and you're going nuts. But it can be something very calming. It can be something that is introspective, but you're doing it with somebody.
Right. And then for folks that are even younger who are trying to meet community, or maybe you've gone to a new city, getting a new job, you're in your 20s, there's a lot of different apps and meetups that you can find online that you can help with similar interests, like meetups for hikes and things like that.
Yes.
And,
Absolutely.
And so there's lots of opportunity, and it goes back to the very point. You got to put yourself in the arena.
You got it. Yep.
Whatever stage you're in.
And you know what? Even for extroverts, it's uncomfortable the first time.
It is. And sometimes we don't want to do it. We're tired too.
It's like, I don't want to sign up for that, but I know I should.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
Well, thank you, Jen, for sharing so much. The series has been great.
Thank you. I love co-sharing this with you.
Yeah.
This is so much fun.
It's really great. And so we're going to be entering into the Lenten season and preparing for that next.
Yes.
So please stay tuned. We've got more coming, and we're going to have some different events coming up, some mini retreats online.
Can't wait to share that.
Some other things we're talking about. We can't share too much. I want to start talking about it now. But
I know.
there's more connection to come. And so we want to just thank you for being here and share with someone you think might be benefit from this series, and hope to see you in the future.
See you next time.
Right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today on Faithfully Healed. If this episode brought you some insights, peace, clarity, I invite you to subscribe, leave a review, or share someone who might need a gentle word of encouragement. Remember, healing is holy work, and you're not meant to do this alone. Until next time, may you be in peace, held by grace, and guided by the Spirit. Peace be with you.